Thomas, it's an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, Peter. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for your time. There's a lot kind of at play with this film, but I feel like the big thing that kind of stood out to me is all these characters, your character, Rudy's character. There's a lot of kind of figuring things out, self-reflection. And I'm curious if you kind of noticed that a lot in the script. Like everyone's like finding themselves in a lot of ways in this film.
They're finding themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty spot on evaluation. Merle has his challenges, large and even larger. And, Erwin has his challenges that even at his young age, he can only see it as catastrophic. And so when their paths converge and they start their journey together, it really is a journey of, mutual discovery.
Yeah.
He helps me and I help him emotionally and otherwise. And it's, but I think that with Faye's character and maybe even a little bit with Bruce Dern's character.
Yeah, not just your characters. I've noticed that in a lot of them.
Bruce has a great line. He was like, sometimes we all need a helping hand. Sometimes you just somebody can just decide to help and as opposed to ignore.
Yeah.
And a lot of great humanity has risen out of like the most simplest choices.
Yeah, no, totally. And to kind of add to that a little bit, adapted, like something that's adapted from something that existed before, that always interests me. If you worked on a lot of things that were based on, past books and that past things, what is your relationship with original source material? Like this is based on a book. So I'm just curious,
Right.
Like, does it depend on the project? Like, do you kind of try to take yourself away from the original source material because it's not the book, it's the movie, right? So I'm just curious about that from an acting storyteller perspective.
Sometimes the book can be helpful, but usually because, and I'm going to say usually, I would say almost wholly, the adaptation has taken liberties away from the actual book.
Yeah.
And certainly this is no exception. Julie Denny, who wrote the original adaptation, she just sort of lifted a lot of the book and just put it directly in the screenplay.
Yeah.
And and whereas with a movie like Sideways, which was taken from a book, Alexander and Jim Taylor, they had the book and then they just had their own version of that story. Now, certainly the characters and, the journey and everything that we did, it was in the book.
Yeah.
But a lot of the rest of it was replaced with Alexander Payne and Jim Taylor's, their imaginations take on those characters in that world.
Yeah.
And then, there's a lot in between.
Mm-hmm.
But on this, once I got involved and my writing partner got involved, and then Mark and Bristol, the writer, director, and Koen Wooten, one of the other creative producers, then we all just sort of converged on Austin and had script meetings and script meetings and script meetings and more script meetings. And even as I'm sure you're aware, it's a river.
Yeah.
You get in pre-production, you get into production, man, it is a moving river.
Yeah.
And it can't stop flowing, which means change.
Yes.
And new stuff is coming in and stuff maybe that you don't want is going downstream. So it really, it's a flowing process, which I'm so thrilled to be a part of, because I have been on projects where it's like, nope, this is the script.
Yep.
This is exactly what we're doing. This is exactly how I'm going to direct it. But sometimes those can be great opportunities as well.
Yeah, I'm also creative as well. I wrapped a short. I'm going to camera for my new short as well that I wrote and produced. So
Nice.
it's definitely something that, but it's also something that I like. I love the most about it is it really is a team sport, and that's what I kind of got from what you said as well. Like the crew and the cast and everything. Like it's so amazing, kind of to see all the work that goes in to a movie. I feel like that kind of gets lost in translation sometimes, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it was we had a great time. It was a lot of hard work, but really like so many people that I worked with on Texan are my friends now.
Yeah.
Koen Wooten is actually attached as a producer on 2 projects that my writing partner and I have, which we're hoping to get made in the next year or so.
Yeah.
I mean, everything got shut down for 6 months for the strikes. So we were moving forward and then we got kind of stalled. So,
Yeah.
but no, man, well, congratulations. I hope you make the rounds, all the festivals with your short.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's an exciting, and it's so cool to kind of this, just like writing something and then seeing it in Video Village. It's a special feeling, and I was able to kind of, it's a special feeling. Sideways is one of my favorite films of all time, by the way. So I'm very happy that you mentioned that. It's funny because I'm also a big animated movie fan too, and I do have to say, Over the Hedge is like one of my favorite animated. Prepare for a lot of stinging. I just have to say.
That somebody recently, both my daughters love that. That's their favorite one.
It's one of my favorite animated. It's one of the best animated movies. I love that movie so much.
I gotta say, one that I think kind of flew under the radar. It's live action animated. A thing that I did called Aliens in the Attic.
Yes.
And I felt like that movie just kind of flew under the radar. I thought that was a better movie than the box office reflected.
Yeah. I remember that movie. Yes. I remember going to see that movie in theaters for sure. That's my next question. You look at Accidental Texan, you look at all those films. I think the thing that I think is really cool about your incredible body of work is, yes, it's different worlds, but I think you've been able to play different characters as well. What's your favorite thing about what I just said? Diving into the different worlds or playing the different characters? Like, is there one you like the most over the other?
Well, both. No, yeah. I mean, you can't really. They're mutually exclusive, but they still, one really can't. They can't. They have to coexist. I mean, because it's like, oh wow, this is such a unique world, and then the characters in that world. So there's no separation. You can't break the umbilicus. And but I mean, I've done so many. I mean, I love doing westerns. I'm going to do another western with Kevin Costner. I wished I'd done more westerns, but they for whatever reason in my career, they haven't made a whole lot of them. But it's like I love doing period stuff. I really do.
Yeah.
And I haven't had the opportunity to do very many period films, but that's what I really love. I enjoy period stuff.
And some projects you've worked on, like the scale is bigger than others, but it's all storytelling at the end of the day. For me growing up, like there was nothing cooler as a kid, Thomas, going to see those Spider-Man movies. There's nothing cooler. You know what I mean? There's nothing cooler. Is that something cool that like those films are just going to always be around and like really kind of pave the way for a lot more of that Marvel universe, like the ones you were in specifically?
I think, given the recent stumbles with some of these big movies, most recently Madam Web, which was unfortunate. I did a movie with Dakota and I like her very much. I think maybe, and you hear about it and read about it all the time, that it's overkill and it's become, it's like the market is just, the audience is just, they're oversaturated between the DC universe and the Marvel universe. Yeah. And there's other universes that I'm probably not even remembering, but those are obviously the 2 biggest, and they have expanded to where, Disney Plus and all, but I mean, but you got the Star Trek world and the Star Wars world and, you know, in the Avatar world, and you got all these franchises. There's another Alien movie coming out, which is my original favorite because the first Alien came out when I was in high school. So, but all of that, these giant franchises, and you have to include like the big action ones, like, Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And I think the audience, or Fast and Furious, all of them, the audience, it's just giant movie fatigue, and let's face it, if you have a giant movie and you actually get to mine a lot of character, you really get a complex character. It's funny, I was listening to Michael Keaton being interviewed a couple of days ago on Conan O'Brien's podcast, and he was talking about, those first two Batman movies, that, how he and Tim Burton, really were like, we really want to get into who this man is.
Yeah.
We want to know who this man is. Okay, he's wealthy playboy Bruce Wayne, but we want to know who the man is. And that's what I really appreciated about his Batman, but also Christian Bale's Batman.
Yeah, for sure. I love you as the Sandman, though, man. I just have to say that.
Oh, thank you.
It was fantastic. And Accidental Texan is going to be in theaters March 8th, so people are going to be able to check that out. Thomas, it's an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.